Hey guys, welcome back to Words from Reagan. Today is the very first day of video podcasts. And I'm so excited because I have been wanting to do this. I've been planning everything for the past couple weeks. And if those of you guys are just listening, I will have a timestamp in the description that you guys can just skip to for the normal podcast. But for those of you guys watching, I wanted to talk to you guys for a little bit to kind of explain some stuff. So first off, I wanted to go with something very simple. And I feel like this is perfect. I feel like me sitting on my bed is comfy, cozy vibe. And that's what I'm trying to get with this podcast. So I want to know your guys' feedback. You guys can just comment down below if you guys like the setup of me on the bed, or if you guys would prefer an actual studio setup, like a chair. And then same thing with the microphone too. I have two different microphones I'm looking at. This one's just temporary. I got this one for Christmas. I didn't want to purchase something not knowing if I was going to actually do video podcasts, and now that I am, I want your guys' feedback. I think I'm going to do a couple more with this to kind of get the setup of everything and the rundown. The one thing with this is the cords are annoying as hell. I got this for Christmas from my sister, so I want to know your guys' feedback. If the audio is very clear, which I think it is, it's a starter podcast kit, so it does work good. But let me know if you guys like the functionality of me holding this. For me, this is my first episode, so I'm gonna get the reality of everything. I have some tea I'm drinking. So there's a couple different microphones that I'm looking at. So I do want to look at the Blue Yeti microphone. The one thing with that is that's more of a sit down one. Or there is the Rode microphone that actually has the thing you just clip onto your shirt. So I do like the aesthetic of a microphone being in the podcast. I feel like that makes it a little bit more aesthetic. I feel like the Rode microphone would work because I can clip it onto my shirt. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like the aesthetic of the microphone? Do you guys think you prefer clearer audio with Rode microphone or the Blue Yeti? So let me know your guys' thoughts. Anyway, let's get on with today's episode. So today we're going to be talking about the main reason and the importance to a relationship. And before we begin, there are so many important reasons for relationships. You learn what you don't want and what you do want. You grow as a person. You have so many experiences that you experience with that person. You build your standards and so on and so forth. And I think we all think about a relationship that we've been in. We all know that as a person, we grow so much in that time being and then also reflecting on the relationships afterward. But today I'm going to give you guys a mindset that is going to completely shift your perspective on seeing after a relationship happens, being able to look back and reflect and being able to see who you really are on a completely different level. The truth is that relationships are a reflection of who we generally are. They are a reflection of what we need to put work into ourselves. A reflection of areas of healing that maybe we thought we had fixed, but that we truly haven't. They are a reflection of our insecurities, our fears, and more. Relationships bring out what we need to work on. And at the core of a relationship, you will find what makes you angry, what makes you happy, and what wounds you haven't healed yet. Not only what you do, but also what the other does, whether that's a friend or a partner. You'll look at what you put up with and what they give you. It helps us focus on why we put up with a certain behavior. But why? They're a reflection back to who you are that shows you where you might be stuck in your life, your wounds that you are still dealing with, or what aspects of you require attention. It helps us get a better understanding of ourselves. Our willingness to put our attention into situationships or chasing after things shows the work that we still need to do. It's no longer about why the other is giving us these behaviors, but rather why we chase and put the time into them. Maybe the reflection reveals that we struggle to settle down with somebody who's healthy for us because we crave the chase. Maybe the reflection, we string ourselves along and in the relationship because we fear of only being alone, so we stay longer than we should. Maybe the reflection reveals us giving one too many chances after they've burned the bridges before. A relationship is a glimpse into the work that you need to give yourself. However, a relationship doesn't only show the work that you need to put into yourself, but it shows that our benefits and solid, lovable parts to ourselves. They allow us to see how we act towards other people and what we literally bring to the table. We see it in reality instead of on paper. It makes us grow a completely different appreciation and understanding of ourselves. And for me, winding back to literally it's a little over a year ago. This is when I truly realized what this podcast is all about, because this episode, I was talking to a guy I had met off Tinder, and that was the first guy I had seriously, what in my eyes thought that I'd talk to. We just got our intentions wrong, but in my eyes we were talking. And that was the very first time I had deeply talked to somebody on that level. And once things didn't work out, and once we kind of learned we had our intentions completely set oppositely, I learned that I have a video of me on Snapchat actually saying this, and it was me saying okay, yes, it didn't work out, but now I see how lovable I am. I've always known that I'm a very lovable and compassionate person, but now being able to look back on what I thought was us talking and us literally talking, I looked back and saw what I was offering him. And to be able to pull it out of my back pocket is such a superpower, and is such rewarding to know that the time that I put into podcasting, into journaling, and into myself, I actually do give to other people. So just a little thing for you guys, and this was the very first time for me that I was talking to somebody that I was able to see it. So that's kind of what sparked today's episode. I was going back through my old memories and saw that, and I was appreciative of the so-called relationship because it was my first time that I was actually able to put on paper and have evidence of what I have to offer. In these relationships, they allow us to see how we act towards others and what we bring to the table. When we find someone who is healthy and who is good for us, the relationship reminds us of our outpouring love that we have. They show us qualities, respect, affection, commitment, and loyalty. This is so important in life because when we go through these stretches of singleness, maybe failed relationships, maybe you feel stuck, or even situationships, we can look back on our past relationships or friendships, and they remind us of our worth. They remind us that what we have to give others. And instead of looking into past relationships, dogging yourself for the work and growth that you still need, maybe you're noticing in your past relationship you weren't who you thought you were, you weren't as healed as you thought you were, and instead of dogging yourself for that, you can look at ways to celebrate yourself. When looking into aspects of work to be done, don't down yourself for it. Every human has flaws and stuff that they need to work on. So instead, just say, hey, you've got some work to do, and look back on what really made you angry or what brought out those negative flaws of you, and put those work in. Use that as the aspect to help better yourself. And don't sit here and dwell on it. Yes, you have some things to work on, but honestly, for me, that's exciting. It's exciting knowing that I have something new that I'm going to put my focus to and work on. And aside from that, you have some amazing qualities that you offer. Maybe you have a compassionate heart, how deep you are, your eagerness for happiness, and always seeing the best in others. Relationships bring out elements of who we really are. They bring out the truth. They bring out our truth that things are easy to bury, or things that we thought we were generally over, but really aren't. And I've done episodes about the right person and how they will bring out the best in you, and how the wrong person will bring out the worst in you. And the truth is that everyone can bring out sides of you, good and bad. So I don't want to necessarily say that like the right person's gonna bring out the best in you and only the best, and the worst person's gonna bring out only the worst in you. But it's mainly like what the relationship involved of, like what the entire relationship and your interaction with them sparked. Like, was it more negative or bad? Look at it that way. Like, yeah, they can bring out the best in you, but were you guys constantly fighting, or were you guys always love bugs? Your actions, behaviors, and words say a lot. If you're acting over the top, then either they say that they're the wrong person, or you need some work into yourself. If it's always your fault, you feel unhappy, you feel like you can't express your feelings to the other person, then maybe they're the wrong person. Those are things to look at. But if they amplify your happiness, bring out the best in you, you can be yourself around them, maybe they are the right person. Use your action to tell the truth, the good and the bad. Who is good for you and who is bad for you? What you need to work on and what you should celebrate. If you ever look back and regret staying in a relationship too long, regret allowing that person to manipulate you or treat you that way, regret chasing, regret creating the arguments, take a step back and be grateful and thankful that it happened. I've talked about this probably honestly in every single episode, but be thankful it happened, because it taught you what you don't want, what you don't deserve, but it also taught you what you should work on and what you can now use to work on. It taught you how the wrong person will make you feel and how you should feel with the right person. And it's up to you to look and reflect and say, why am I feeling this way? What about your life experiences make you so anxious about words or behaviors? The reflection goes inwards. It's not about them, it's about you. And on the other side, the relationship shows how much the other loves themselves. It shows their side, their insecurities, again, their fears and their qualities. So yes, when you look back in a relationship, it shows the work you need to do and what you should celebrate about yourself, but also them. It shows their qualities and their fears and how much that they generally love themselves. Because people who love themselves love others in genuine ways, but people who don't love themselves are going to play mind games with you and make you the bad person constantly. So you're dating someone and they're playing games, hot and cold, manipulative. That is a look into their need for healing and work. A relationship portrays multiple things. It offers a great form of clarity. I talked about this before, and I'm saying you don't need to always have clarity for stuff, but this allows you clarity to look back on for yourself, for our needs to work, our insecurities, what we thought we had healed from, but in reality that we haven't. It's honestly such a beautiful thing, really, to look back on. Like, name another thing that brings out this much truth. I really can't think of anything, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I feel like this is the most truthful thing that I can think of that brings out the best in you. And a lot of the time we lie to ourselves about this, but this is literally the truth. Somebody else can say our insecurities and our fears as well. Words are one thing, but actions tell a completely different other story. To make a promise is easy, but in order to fulfill it, you need to keep the promise. We know we put the work into ourselves to be the best version of ourselves possible. We try to be grateful, understanding, loving, and more. But once you actually visibly notice the good you do and the qualities you have and the qualities of the other person, you gain so much appreciation of the time and work that you put in. You now know that you can literally back up this with evidence. Like, okay, you say, I'm very understanding because my best friend canceled on me, like last night we had plans and she wanted just send it to herself. And I was nice about it. You can't pull that out. I'm loving because I pour my heart out into making sure that they're okay. You have that evidence. I'm giving love a second chance because I see their qualities and what they have to offer. You see you actively acting towards that relationship or getting to know them more. I now know what I do not want because I have been manipulated and in a toxic relationship. So, yeah, it's easy just for us to say to another person, to ourselves, I'm lovable. I'm loyal. But to actually play that out in like a real life scenario and then have evidence for it to be able to look back on, not only for us, but for the other person. And it really doesn't matter to other people, but mainly for us so we feel good about ourselves. You gain a completely different appreciation and love for yourself after this. And to put context with it, it makes it even more important. And with this, we need to be truthful to ourselves. It's so easy to say, no, that was just one day that I was acting over the top. I'm over that. It is okay that some things that we still need to work on, but lying to ourselves and not seeing it at face value is only going to set us back further. So instead of trying to hide it, instead of trying to hide ourselves and lie to ourselves that maybe we're really not over our ex, and instead of trying to go with all these other people, be honest with yourself. Because if you just sweep that under the rug and continue to go on dates even though you know you're not ready, you're gonna be set back to square one. Like, you're wasting your time. So be honest with yourself. It's for the better. There are so many sides you see in a relationship, and in order to see the reflection, we need to be honest with ourselves on what we still need to work on and put time into. We also need to celebrate the parts and qualities of ourselves that are awesome. The parts and qualities of ourselves and that persevere and that we have to offer to others. Why? Because we are who we are in relationships and what we portray to others. Take this and learn what you do and don't want. Use this information for clarity and guidance to what your next step in life. Maybe you're coming out of a relationship and you're like, okay, where do I go from here? And the truth is, there's no right and wrong answer, but maybe start once you've healed and had some time. Maybe start when you are okay to look back on the relationship. Maybe then start looking back on the relationship and kind of see in what ways you didn't deserve to be treated, in what ways you could have been a better girlfriend or boyfriend, in what ways you could have been a better friend, and some insecurities and some stuff. Look back at that. Start there. If the other person reflects negative interest, then let it go. Suggest to them that maybe they need to fix this or that it's showing, and mention it to them. But if they don't act upon it, you can only do so much. It takes for them to realize themselves in order for them to change. It's easy for us to say we are one thing, but by having evidence to tag with it, we gain a completely different appreciation and understanding for ourselves. So that was today's episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Just something that I was just, again, scrolling on Snapchat, saw this, and I was like, you know what? This would be a pretty good episode. So, and again, to make with the very first video podcast. So, just some like reflecting with you guys. Like, maybe think about a past friendship or relationship. Doesn't matter there. Just a relationship you've had with romantic or coworker or friendship. Think about an old one that you don't really talk to anymore, or maybe even be current, and look back in the past and think about the good times and bad times you've had. The good sides of you, but also the bad sides of you that need to be worked on, and go from there. I promise you, come up with 3 different qualities to each that make up for each other. And I promise you guys, you will have a completely different understanding and love for yourself by the end of this week. So with that, thank you guys for watching and listening. I will see you guys next Thursday with another episode. Again, leave me your feedback down in the comments down below about the setup, the microphone, the audio, and what you guys think. And I will see you guys next Thursday with another episode. Bye, guys.